Hello, my name is Alex from Swoosh English, and today I'll be looking at one of my OET blog articles, specifically looking at listening, dealing with multiple choice questions in Part B. So this lesson will focus on strategies related to listening, Section B of the OET exam. In sections B and C of the OET listening exam, you'll have to answer a number of multiple choice questions. Doing so successfully can often prove challenging for a variety of reasons, and I personally have seen a number of students struggle in completing these tasks. Yet, if you cannot answer these sorts of questions well, you will lose a large amount of marks when it comes to the exam. In this article, therefore, I shall provide a number of tips in order to help to improve your performance in this area. I shall focus specifically on Part B, as the strategies vary between the two sections, but you should find some useful advice that you can apply to Part C also. So tip 1, read all the questions carefully before listening. I'll start with the most obvious first because despite its clearly sensible logic, a lot of students, in my experience, fail to do this. Let's take an example of the sort of question you could face in the OET. You hear a school nurse briefing staff about a new policy. The information she wants them to communicate to students relates to A, checking food ingredients, B, sharing food during breaks, or C, carrying medical equipment. So you've read the question, but have you read it carefully? If so, you should be able to tell me 1, who is going to be speaking, 2, whom they're going to be speaking to, 3, how many people are likely to be involved in the interaction, and 4, what is the purpose of the interaction? Are you able to answer all of those questions by looking again at the left side of the screen? Let's see. Well, the answer to number 1 is a school nurse. It tells us there, doesn't it? You hear a school nurse briefing staff about a new policy. Whom they're going to be speaking to? Well, again, we have it in the question, staff. How many people are likely to be involved in the interaction? Well, here it's likely to be just one person, as the school nurse will be addressing a group, so they'll not all be able to interact with her during her briefing. And finally, the purpose of the interaction is to provide information about a new policy, which the school nurse wants the staff to pass on to the students. So, did you answer the question successfully? Being able to do so will help to prepare you for what you are about to hear so that you're ready to focus on the information that you need. This is very important, as you will only hear this information once, so you must be as prepared as possible. Tip 2. Tip 2. Decide what sort of listening skill you need to perform. This now relates to meta skills, your ability to recognize what sorts of skills the exam questions are testing. In Part B, you'll face questions which test for both gist and detail. A gist question is asking you about the overall listening text, for example, its purpose or general focus. A detail question is asking you to detect a specific aspect of the listening text. Note, however, that doing this successfully will involve more than just hearing a specific word or phrase. Let's look at question A again. What skill do you think is being tested for here? Gist or detail? It seems pretty clear that the answer is that it's testing for detail. You need to listen out for the specific detail which the nurse wants her staff to communicate to students. Now you've detected the skill required, you can really start to focus on the details in the listening text, waiting for the specific details you need to be mentioned. A gist question, on the other hand, would look something like this. B. You hear an ophthalmologist during a consultation with a patient. Which statement best sums up the ophthalmologist's diagnosis? A. The patient is suffering from a historic condition. B. The patient has an irreversibly degenerative condition. Or C. The patient has had their condition diagnosed at a manageable stage. In this case, you're being asked to sum up the information provided by the ophthalmologist. So this very much looks like a question which is focusing on gist. As a result, you'll need to listen to all of the interaction, picking up contextual clues where appropriate. For example, references to time, general statements of positivity or negativity which relate to the condition, etc., in order to answer the question correctly. Tip 3. Be prepared to listen for the message. As with all the listening sections of the OET, you'll have to be prepared for paraphrasing. However, with multiple choice sections, the effect can be even more extreme. Unlike in section A, it's possible that none of the words from the multiple choice options will be used in the actual recording, so you'll have to listen carefully in order to make the correct selection. If the answer to question B, in this case, for example, were C, we might hear the doctor say something like, "It is still possible to treat your symptoms," which would give us the information to choose C despite none of the words from the option actually being used. This is because in both sections B and C of the listening, we are being tested on our ability to listen for the message of the recording rather than just specific words. Finally, tip 4, don't get distracted. There's danger in distraction. What do you call the incorrect options from a multiple choice question? Answer, distractors. They are called this because their job is to distract you from getting the correct answer. The distractors may contain specific words which you hear in the text, but they will not reflect the intention of the speakers. Imagine in reference to question B again, that you hear, the condition is degenerative if untreated. If based on this you decide to choose option B, you would lose the mark, as if untreated, which is said at the end of the utterance, indicates strongly that the degeneration is not irreversible. So, a summary. Start off by reading all the questions carefully to best prepare yourself for the interaction that you're going to hear. Then detect the question type. Do you need to listen for the overall context, or do you need to listen for some specific detail within the interaction? Deciding this can help you prepare again and to really focus on the information that you need. After that, you need to listen for the message. Expect information to be paraphrased. Don't necessarily expect the words on the page to be expressed in the same way when you listen to the recording. And finally, watch out for distractors. If you do hear words in the recording which seem similar to the words on the page, be careful. Do those words indicate the same message? If not, then you want to choose a different answer.